Hey guys, Palsteron here, and today let's talk about my Chromatic Shot Tangle Thea1. This has been my Leaguestarter for Season 12, and I gotta say, this is the best Leaguestarter I've ever played, hands down. If you don't know, they reworked both Thea1, Wisdom of the Gods, and Chromatic Shot this patch, making them not only a lot stronger, but also easier scalable for early game, as well as that they also buffed Tangles. In this video, I'll go over how Chromatic Shot works, how it scales, everything to lay the groundwork, and then guide you through progression. To start with, I have 13 snapshots that I took throughout the last 3 days over on twitch.tv/Palsteron while streaming, so everybody could follow along. So you can see, for example, Flame Burst level 1 to 27. At level 27, you get Chromatic Shot, respec, everything all the way up to Profound upgrades, which is like 600 billion. I'm currently, I think I did one more upgrade or something. I will be upgrading this sheet over time. I'll probably push the character to around 2 trillion. I will be rerolling eventually, so I will not take this build all the way to SS20, but just so you know, it will be updated. Yeah, around about 700. But okay, let's talk about the superstar of this build, Chromatic Shot. And the first thing you will notice is the sheer amount of tags this skill has. Now, talking about Chromatic Shot and breaking it down, why this is so good. It's Cold, Fire, Lightning, which already opens up a lot of doors. It has all the scaling, so it scales with any attribute. And it has the projectile and the AoE tag. So while only progressing, usually you need to hit a certain mod. Let's say, for example, you craft this wand and you need +2 fire for your skill. But on this skill, if I hit +2 cold or +2 lightning, I can also just keep it. It's the same thing. Now, the same thing goes for attributes. Whether I hit strength here or int or dex, doesn't matter. And it doesn't sound big at first until you realize how much currency you're saving on average and how much that snowballs into mid-game progression. The last part is it has both the projectile and the AoE tag, which is quite big because it lets you use stuff like domain expansion. Important to know, this is not technically, it has no area. The reason it has an area tag is because Chromatic Shot has this weird explodey that they added this patch, which is not really all that noticeable, but it doesn't matter. As long as it has the AoE tag, the skill works with area damage. The second thing it does, which will make your life a lot easier early on in terms of gearing, is it forcibly converts to one element. You can even hover over it. It tells you what it does. Now, that means you hit one time, it will decide for cold. It deals only cold damage. All the damage from all sources will be converted to cold. Then it picks fire and so on. So what that means is you can't 100% convert fire and lightning to cold and then only do cold damage. You're forced to do all three. And this gives you once again an advantage in gearing because I can roll any type of flat damage on my wands or on gear. For example, this ring right here. And they will all get converted. If it chooses fire, both of these get converted to fire, and so on. So in total, that makes Chromatic Shot into an absolute powerhouse. Now, do I think this skill will still be the absolute best once we get to 100,000 plus KFE? I'm not really sure, simply because Israfel's exists. Israfel's Laws gives you additional cold damage for every focus blessing, and on Thea, you're doing that. So in endgame, you not being able to convert everything to cold is a huge downside, but that is, for most people, realistically not relevant. So this is how the skill looks like, and I'll quickly show it to you in a map. It's a normal projectile. It scales with additional projectiles. It does shotgun with additional projectiles beyond 3, and it already comes with 2 additional, so it has 3 auto-aiming shots. Now, these auto-aim pretty mildly, you will notice it, but once you have the support, it goes completely nuts. However, this support is ridiculously expensive, so it's something that I did on like day 3, and I wouldn't really recommend doing it early because it doesn't really give you any damage. It just really gives you extra clear speed, which you don't necessarily need. In terms of how this build plays, though, you have your Tangles, which fire your Chromatic Shots. I'll show it to you in a second. And then you have Shadow Shot, which you move around with. It has up to 4 charges. I know some people use Blade Dancers. I did not deem it necessary. Plus, I get Hasten on my boots and a ton. Like, I just go for raw movement speed. It feels incredible just with Shadow Swamp. So I'll quickly show you a map here. Everything in this build is automated other than your main skill. I'll quickly show you. This is Profound, right? Yeah, I think it's Profound. Okay, we're good. So you put down your Tangles and everything just kind of explodes. The crazy auto-targeting you see is only with the support. Otherwise, it just fires out in a spiral, which I guess I can show you as well. It's not as big of a difference, but probably a lot more realistic for most people. So let's put in wind projectiles. It shouldn't really change anything. I'm quickly going to do the league mechanic, and as you can see right here, it's barely a difference. League mechanic, put down the tangles, everything kind of explodes. There you go. And yeah, in general, there's not much to say. In terms of defense, this build is not as squishy as most of the other versions of this build, simply because I went for an energy shield route. So you will see a lot of people go for items that are offensively good, and it makes sense in this game because progression is all about damage, but I just hate dying all the time. So if you're looking at my planners and you're thinking, why am I not using that item? Why am I not using this item? The reason is most likely it doesn't have energy shield. And these 9.5k energy shield made me be able to level 98 while being pretty high in difficulty. Now, what you just saw are tangles. So this support right here, which only goes in the first slot, just so you know, if you're wondering why you can't see it in the others, is Spell Tangle, and it converts your Chromatic Shot into this thing. And whenever this tangle gets attached to something, it shoots out the projectiles. If you're coming from PoE, it's like brands. But yeah, as you can see, you can have multiple of them placed on top of the enemy. So I put it here, and then it goes like this. And if I have the support, like I said, it will look a little bit different because it is constantly auto-seeking. You can see right here. You might be asking, why Tangle? Well, the reason's pretty simple. It's another damage multiplier. You can have multiple of them on top of an enemy, which is really good for damage. You have Acquaintance right here, which is super important, +1 max. And then you also have Peculiar Vibe, which makes it so enemies can have an additional 1. So it's just a decision between Spell Burst and Tangle early on is just way, way, way better before you get any sort of gear. And once you have gear, Spell Burst is getting a little bit more competitive, but that is a different version of the build. The second reason is Chromatic Shot does Shotgun. But if you're casting it yourself, you can see right here, it's a little bit annoying. You have to stand very near to the enemy to actually shotgun. But if you have a Tangle, it will do that for you because it attaches to the enemy and is on top of the enemy. It is impossible not to shotgun. Now, do note that if you are spamming the Tangle, you will actually deal a little bit more damage. So right now I'm spamming, and it will deal more damage. And the reason you can see right up here, current Tangle quantity, it has like this glitch where it goes from 6 to 7. And that will make it deal a little bit more damage. It's kind of like a bug, but you will notice this a lot more when you don't have expensive gear like this helmet or this amulet, and you have 2 tangles, and it goes from 2 to 3. That is a huge damage increase. Once you get to endgame, it's not that big of a deal, just something to consider against bosses. Then let's talk about Thea. This is Oracle Thea, Wisdom of the Gods, as you can see right here. And yeah, she's pretty straightforward. She revolves around blessings. So per default, she gives you focus, tenacity, and agility blessings. And yeah, she has like a proc. Basically, all God's Boon is it fires every 10 seconds or so, and it will give you buffs. It will give you more damage. That is all you have to think about. Boom. Then you take this. It is for sustain and more damage. More damage. Double damage. That is the hero. Now, you can do some funky stuff with Predicted Justice in endgame. If you have 100,000 plus FE, you can play around with it. But early on, it's just a damage machine. If you don't know, Thea got changed this patch to have this combined. It used to be a decision. It now gets both the more damage and the blessing sustain and the automatic application. So you don't have to press anything on your hero trait. It is all automated. Plus, she's perfect for Chromatic Shot because usually heroes have an element or some thing, right? Like they have, this is all about cold damage, this is about fire damage. This hero is just more damage. So Chromatic Shot being forcibly converting, that is just perfect. If you're thinking between Thea1 and let's say Sage, the new hero, I can tell you straight up, this hero deals considerably more damage. I mean, double damage or more than Sage early game. Sage has endgame scalability, but so does Thea. Predicted Justice is one of the most broken endgame scalers you can have because you will scale Tenacity Blessings, get super tanky, and also get Focus Blessings. So Sage is definitely viable, but as a League starter, I would highly, highly, highly recommend Oracle Thea. A quickie thing I want to put in here is recovery. This build is Energy Shield, so it is important. Now, my snapshots have mostly recharge, and the way you get recharge is from the new legendary talent right here. Whenever you Tangle, you get Recharge Energy Shield, which is important to just keep spamming Tangle so you actually get your recharge. But there's another thing that I took too late, which is Regain. We used to have Energy Shield on kill, which got removed this patch. And I did definitely underestimate, shout out Marty, I definitely underestimated how big this removal would be. And I should have taken Regain a lot easier. So if you're changing anything in the build, take these Regain nodes earlier and it's going to feel a lot better. Also, do make sure that you have the Energy Shield cannot be interrupted for 1 second. Otherwise, it doesn't really make sense. In terms of passive tree, a lot of things change over the course of the progression, but a few things remain. You always want the 2 Tangle ones. This also got changed this patch. Peculiar Vibe and Acquaintance are now both in the Goddess of Knowledge tree. And there you go. You want to take all of these nodes. Elementalist. Now, there is a really nice spot for an inverse image right here, which I take later in the progression. It makes it so you copy over the +1, +1, +1, which all work for Chromatic Shot, remember? And you get them here again. Important to note, you need at least -49% to all reflected legendary medium talents. If it's a -50, then it will actually say +0 right here. So it rounds. At least -49, and you're getting these +3. Very nice spot. And then in Lich, you will also have a cute spot right here with a Ptera Prism. I don't have my endgame one yet, which is most likely going to be Juggernaut. If you know what that means, then good. Other than that, Magister is one I take once I have horizontal projectiles. Then you can spec out of Marksman and go into Magister. This is important for Energy Shield, but it's not something you're tied to. It's just a really efficient tree. You get a lot of crit damage, you get Frail, you get the Regain, you get the Recharge. Otherwise, you have to get all of this from Slates. And then Lich at the end right here, which is for your auras, which I'll also talk about in a bit. Then we have, there's not much else to say. Then we have my Slate setup. In terms of Slate setups, you're a Focus Blessing stacker. So you get plus to max Focus Blessing, plus to max Focus Blessing, and then whatever. Up here, I have +2 to horizontal projectiles. This is super, super important. If you don't have this, the build's going to feel a lot worse. And on my Slate, I have Gale. This is something I do throughout progression. This is quite expensive. In terms of skills, you can see my supports here. They constantly change. I have Mana Boil right here. I used to have a Curse instead of Secret Origin Unleash, but I do have a Curse on Hit Ring now with Timid, so that is not necessary anymore. Just anything that increases your damage. Shadow Dash, obviously super, super strong as a movement skill. Mana Boil, you have to activate once, or you have Prep and you just don't. And then we have my auras. I have 3 big damage dealers right here. The first one is Precise Projectiles, Spell Amp, and Domain Expansion. These are just more damage with Constraint. Now, Precise Domain Expansion is reserved on life. Everything else is reserved on mana. And then I've summoned Fire Magus. Now, in some of my earlier versions, you will see me use Thunder Magus. But one thing I did not know is that Spirit Magus doesn't fire spells, and Fire Magus does fire spells, which means you can use Grudge to get free Paralyze. So if I had to do it again, I would probably go Fire Magus earlier, somewhere around Snapshot 5 or 6. So if you're listening to this, that's probably something to look into. While we're in the skill menu, this is the most asked question every single league. How do you get your auras to work? Now, first thing you have to understand about this game, off the beaten track, GG. +4 to support skill levels, this matters. But also, support skills mana multiplier is fixed at 95%. If you know PoE, you know what that means. That means you actually reserve less the more supports you have. So the biggest mistake people make is they don't put all the supports in that I have here. And, well, you can see right here, for example, Sealed Life 1.01. If I remove this, it actually doesn't work anymore. It literally bricks the skill. So that is important. That's the first part. The second part is the levels on sealed conversion, which makes it so this aura converts to life, matters as well. It makes it reserve less and less and less. And the same is true for restraint, which gives you extra sealed compensation per levels. All of these matter and compound. So these two, super important. Before that, you will not be able to reserve all of this, and you should just throw in a second Magus or something, which I have in the progression as well. And the last part, piece of the puzzle is this small node right here, which most people don't see because it isn't lighted up. This 1.5 sealed compensation is what holds the build together and what works out. Now, There are random stats you could have somewhere that make it so you need another one of these points or maybe another one of these points. They're all here. If you need them, just fill in as much as you need. And if you're progressing and you don't have a level 20 gem yet, just spec in sealed compensation and later revisit and see if you can respec them. In terms of hero memories, the first slot is very nice because you can go strength, int, or dex, which makes it a lot easier. You want to have prod speed if you have Gale already. Otherwise, prod speed doesn't really do much. And then you can just roll for any lightning, fire, cold crit damage that you want. As much crit damage as you possibly can. Otherwise, energy shield is good, right? The usual projectile speed is good. Whatever you want. Then this one is a little bit special. So this is for way later. But you can get another memory. A fourth memory with one of the new currencies. And that's what I have down here. So yeah, don't be surprised if you don't have this. It is what it is. And yeah, the last one here as well. Now you want to go for cast speed or movement speed. I personally like cast speed. I'm fast enough. But if you feel like you need the move speed, then go for it as well. But it will decrease your damage by quite a bit. And then energy shield, obviously. As for Pact Spirits, as always, take whatever you have. Purple pets that give spell damage, that give elemental damage. They all work. They're all good. Dreamweaver is decent. Lion is very, very strong. If you have free Pact Battle Spirit tokens, whatever the hell, roll for this one right here. Iron Lion is extremely, extremely strong. Gives you +2 projectiles. The only downside is these first 3 nodes are usually knockback, but you can fix that with Kismets earlier on. So yeah, anything spell damage, cast speed, penetration. One special one is Preserver of Eternity. If you have a high level Preserver, it gives you a ton of movement speed, and it will just make the build feel so much better. But it has a lot of trash here at the end that doesn't do anything. So you have to, once again, Kismet over it with, I don't know, resistances, spell damage, crit chance, whatever you can get your hands on for free. Or not for free, but cheap. Important to know, if you're wondering why I have critical strike damage mitigation, it's not because I'm a hardcore player. It's because once you have this ridiculous helmet, which gives you a crap ton of damage, it round about doubles your damage. It also says nearby enemies are guaranteed to crit. That's the downside, so you can make up for that with the Kismets. But okay, let's get into progression. First up, how do you import these codes? So don't put a space in. You could brick it with just one space at the start or later, but you go to Pro Builds. I'll just try it right now. Boom. Copy. You go to Pro Builds, Quick Builds, down here, enter build code, and voila, we got the first snapshot. Now let's start with leveling and campaign. You will start with Fire Burst and Flame Core. You can also go Thunder Core if you really want to. The only thing I'm going to say, because this is a widely spread thing that people did this patch, is level with Thunder Core until like level 80. Complete nonsense. Just telling you right now, Chromatic Shot is ridiculous while leveling. So at level 27, you will, okay, immediately go Chromatic Shot. If you hit level 28 and you don't have Chromatic Shot on yet, you're cooked. The reason you need level 27 for it, though, is the support. The support got changed. The wiki before the patch said level 55, but it's actually level 27. So you can start it at level 27, and it is ridiculous. It's like you're on there with leveling gear. Now, this is super important. You need projectile penetration at any point, whether it's the support or later marksman, or you get the marksman node on one of your slates. You always need at least +2 to horizontal projectile penetration. And yes, the support is not the best way to do it, but early on, it just is the only way to do it. So make sure you always have that. The transition from the Fire Burst to Chromatic Shot, all you need to know is obviously your main skill changes, but also you will change your passive tree. So whereas in the first 27 levels, you have, where are we at? Here. You will have other stuff like Spell Burst. You have to go Peculiar Vibe, and then you have to go Acquaintance, and you also have to respec the Spell Burst charge speed into these Tangle nodes right here. I made another snapshot after campaign. Important is that you do all the treasure troves. Born in Fire gives you a little bit of extra damage for a third of your hit, but it just gives you so much max life. It's going to feel very comfy. You can also get a Sage's Foresight in one of these side areas. So farm for that if you see it as a reward in the treasure troves. And yeah, up to here, I have still not crafted a single thing, and that's after campaign. Same thing for tier 5s, by the way. I'm still marksman because I need that +2 horizontal projectile penetration, and now I'm quickly getting into Lich. So I still don't have my talent, so I can't run all my auras. You just throw in whatever you can, but it is slowly growing, and this is when I was in tier 5s. Then we transition to tier 7s, and as you can see right here, still really nothing but one thing, and that's really important, that changed is my wands. I'll show you how to craft your first wands at the end of the video, but all you need to know is these will triple your damage. If you make 2 of these, and they're super cheap, and you can make them with what you find, you don't have to get lucky at all. Make sure that you actually have decent hero memories at this point. You want still life at this point. Movement speed or cast speed implicit, probably movement speed. At this point, you're not going to have much because your boots are kind of whatever. Make sure you have grace boots as well. These just give you extra focus, blessing, sustain. And yeah, here it doesn't matter. Dexterity, int, strength, whatever you can. Now, in terms of auras, I am still life-based, so I cannot reserve my life right now. So instead of my last aura, I just have swiftness, which gives me a little bit of extra movement speed, and you just have to play around with that. Just make sure all of them have restraint. Make sure that you update your energy along the way. I do still have life tonic. From your free reward up here, you want to take activation medium rejuvenation because early on it's a nice recovery technique. I don't remember where exactly this one is, but you get it free somewhere. Click through here. I don't know exactly. Now, then we have my tier 7 traveler kill, which, yeah, I just crafted tier 2 gear. That's all I did. You can buy leveling items. The problem with some of the leveling items that people recommend is they are very expensive early on, and I don't have them in my snapshot. But if they're like 2 FE, you might as well buy them. So for example, the helmet that gives like wind projectiles, or the all attribute chest embankment, right? Whenever you see this, and if they're cheap, go for them. I just want it to be decently tanky at least, and that is just impossible while wearing those shitty uniques. So that's all I did. All of these rares, you want to get 2 Hearts of Magic. +1 to maximum focus blessing stacks is obviously ridiculous. And let's just real quickly check if I already made my slates. Yes, I did. So +1 maximum focus blessing stacks with hybrid region, and you can get one with just +1 maximum focus blessing stacks. These are super important, and the rest is just +1 to skill. Any +1 to skill, as always, works. Maybe a little bit crit multi. After that, my jump is not too big, but here is where I respect into energy shield. So this one is 1 billion damage with energy shield, and yeah, I recrafted my gloves, so now I have energy shield everywhere. All the life rolls that I had are now on my gear are now gone. This one has been recrafted for energy shield. These rings also have energy shield, so it's just pretty darn nice. In terms of tree, what you need to do this is you need to get a +2 horizontal projectile penetration slate so that you can respec into Magister. This allows you to get some of the really nice nodes like the recharge right here, but it's also just a very solid tree. You get some crit multi, you get some, yeah, just across the board. So now you can reserve your life with off the beaten track. And as you can see right here, at this point, I still needed 2 points to reserve all my auras. But if you look at skills, I'm pretty sure at this point I should already have, yeah. So this is where I have triple 50% auras, and then the Magus also on mana. Once again, if you're wondering why I have these trash supports in there that don't do anything, it's for mana reservation with off the beaten track. So now we're slowly climbing the damage ladder, and at 3 billion, all I did here was buy 2 very efficient items. Old Grudge and Sage's Insight. They're just a lot of damage. Sage's Insight, you get all 3 procs because you're Chromatic Shot, and yeah, I still have bad hero memories and everything. Then I climbed to 9 billion. Let's see what's different here. So I remade some of my gear. I probably rolled over some of this, but this should all still be tier 2 stuff. But you can see that I bought some hero memories. I made some very nice snipes right here with ultimate hero memories, but you should probably stick to epics. So the orange ones, just get any relevant stats. This makes such a big difference to just get crit multi, get crit chance, whatever you can get your hands on. Don't over focus on a specific stat. If it gives you damage, good. At this point, I also crafted the bottom of my slates. So you can get anything, right? Like crit, you can reroll, ES, anything that's valuable. These mods really do add up. As always, TLI is a game where you have to pay attention to all the small details. Now at 30 billion, there's 2 things that change. First, I made tier 1 wands. These are easier to craft than you think because, once again, you can get any attribute, any amount of flat damage, so your advanced affixes are easier to craft than usual. Cast speed, crit damage, LE damage, whatever you can get your hands on. Just tier 1 mods. If you can get a sequence, make sure it's additional spell damage, damage while crit, stats, whatever. It all adds up, right? So these are very strong. And then the second thing I did here is I got a pedigree with Gale. What Gale does is it takes projectile speeds and turns it into a multiplier. So if I had 100% projectile speed, I get 60% more damage. And it goes over that, right? Like you can get multiple 100%. And in terms of the passive tree, this means that you want in your main tree, you want to change whatever you had here into projectile speed and skill area. This is also nice for your curse because you have the blasphemy around you called Terrain of Malice, which applies your curse, so you have a little bit of better area there. But that is important. And from here on out, you can just make sure that you have projectile speed, or basically projectile speed is now in your pocket of damage. You can now take projectile speed and it will give you extra damage, and you will see that moving forward. And this 30 billion, by the way, is where I killed Traveler 8. You don't need 30 billion. At 30 billion, it's going to be a very easy fight. You can also do it at around 5 to 10 billion, which is going to make it a lot more interesting. But if you can do it, you can do it. At 60 billion, let's see what changed here. Yep, so the first thing is Dawnbreak is so goddamn strong. It gives you Fervor, which is a little bit of crit rating, very nice, but it also gives you more damage per Fervor. So this, for example, gives you 33% more damage. You get the Fervor, and you also get base stats. Around 70% more damage from this belt alone, and it's also important to get a good belt because we want to blend it later, and you don't want to blend a trash belt, right? Because you cannot take that off, and it has no resale value. So yeah, we now have a good baseline. And I got one of my rings replaced, so Heart of Magic, I got replaced with one of these. It will be around the same damage, so these stats will make up sort of for Heart of Magic. Heart of Magic would still be more damage, but you get the resistances. And at this point, since we now also have Dawnbreak, you can see we have a lot of uniques. It's pretty hard to get resistances. If you're wondering where I get some of my resistances, at this point, I am already using Kismets aggressively to replace some of them. You can see Cold Res, Erosion Res. These are usually affordable. And then I also tattoo some things away. So for example, if you have Lion, the knockback distance here is completely worthless. So a lot of these you can just tattoo over. Do note that throughout all of this, I've made slight adjustments throughout my passive tree that have various reasons that I can't really go into here because they're all very nitpicky. Sometimes I make small mistakes that I fix later. So just if you want to do it one by one, then just follow that. Now, other than the Dawnbreak, I've also now replaced my gear with higher tier energy shield gear. So this is where I break into 9,000 energy shield, just tier 1 stats across the board on my helmet, on my body armor, and on my boots. Important here is Hasten. Hasten's super strong on boots, so craft that. So everything here at this stage is tier 1s. And I also replaced my last hero memory with another ultimate one. So that's as well. I still have this one open. Yeah, the slates are still the same. Now, up to 60 billion, smooth sailing. The upgrades are pretty straightforward and not that expensive. Now we get into expensive territory, though. Here is the 200 billion DPS right now. So first thing I got was what I talked about earlier, the Prism in the Elementalist tree. You need at least minus 49 to all reflected legendary medium talents or higher. So it can also be positive or minus 15 or whatever. It cannot be minus 50, minus 51, because then the prism will actually reflect plus 0 here. So yeah, you get plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, and then another plus 3. It's completely bonkers. The Elementalist tree is completely bonkers in general. So that is the first upgrade I did. I also got a prism right here. This one I did a little bit earlier. I forgot to mention it, but just get one as soon as possible. More damage per movement speed is just very solid. It doesn't really matter what's down here, but you can do some cute stuff. I put it here because of the plus 6 spell damage. You can also put it here. If you don't know, if you put a prism somewhere, it actually cuts off the nodes and you don't have to take them. So for example, if I put the prism right here, I would not have to take these 3 shitty nodes. I could just take this 1 pointer, for example. So you can strategically, yeah, like finesse around depending on what you have. I also got a Amulet Corruption. The most important corruption here is the +1 Tangle with Tangle Enhancement. On ultimate weapons, this is a modifier. It's basically a more multiplier, but you don't have ulti weapons yet, so this is straight up just 15% more damage and very cheap comparative to what it gives you. I also at this point got some Dream Crafts, and I would highly recommend to not do it on your weapons. They're more expensive. Just do it on your body armor thingies, right? Because these are a lot cheaper to craft, and just get pen, armor, pen, whatever you can hit. I hit a lucky convert phase, which I didn't really want, but it's very rare, so I just kept it. Sage's Insight, I guess you could have gotten a corruption, but yeah. I got a Heart of Magic corruption for 20% more spell damage. I just wanted to keep it for now. Do note that once you have no Heart of Magics anymore, you now need a way to sustain Focus Blessings. I'll probably say this again in 2 minutes or something because it's so important. But I replaced it in endgame now. And then you need gains 1 stack of Focus Blessing when activating Spell Burst or generating Spell Tangle. You can also get this in the, I think it was in the Magister tree right here, but I didn't have the points, so I got it on the slate. Another thing that changed in the 200 billion version is I got a hero memory that allows me to put a 4th hero memory in. So that is the League mechanic. It's called, I don't know, Revival, whatever. One of these gives you another hero trait. Make sure that if you buy this, that it still has relevant mods. So for example, mine has a dead mod here, but it is what it is. Also, these are a lot more expensive to roll because it needs another currency to roll your mods. It's not free anymore, just so you know. So buckle up for a little bit extra cost there, but then you get to use another trait. It doesn't really matter which one. I would say the best one is probably Memory of Origin, but you can also do the other two. It's not that big of a deal. And yeah, you can customize this one as you want as well. And another huge thing I did in this 200 build version is I got 3 moths. If you don't know what moths are, they copy the bottom mod of whatever is nearby. So it has a role for right side, left side. This one, for example, is right side, so it copies from here. And these two are left side, so it also copies from here. And this is a Fallen Starlight. Now, these moths copy the bottom mod, so you have to have a relevant mod on the bottom right here. So a good one would be +1 to any skill level. Additional damage when having both sealed mana and life is very strong. Anything that multiplies your damage and that you want to have multiple of. And important to know as well, if you're looking for these Fallen Starlights, I'll just quickly show you right here. So you go to this right here, you go Fallen Starlight, boom. If you go for a mod, let's say sealed compensation, you're like, oh, but how do I know if it's on the bottom? They actually thought of this. There is a little switch here. If you activate it, it's only going to show you results where this node is on the bottom. So, for example, right here, it's on the bottom, right? So you can snipe some easier ones. Some of them do not really mind the other mods too much. If you can get something good, just buy a cheap one because they get, like, you're going to pay multiple thousand FE just for an extra, I don't know, 6% cost speed. Also an important point at this point, you should have precise versions of your auras. They give you more damage. So precise domain expansion, spell amp, and precise projectiles. And this is where we are at the end. Profound 600 billion. Now, if you want to know when you can start farming Profound and make more currency, this one felt okay. It was like enough damage. However, if you're farming Lunaria, you probably want to disable Full Moon Radiance right here. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty rough. But on this version, on the Pro Builds version, it's going a lot better. So this is the 600 billion version, and the biggest change here is the helmet. Yes, it's stupid expensive, but it's also just too goddamn good. These two together give you around 70% more damage over your other helmet, right? Completely, like, just, you really want to save up for this one. However, the biggest downside is enemies are guaranteed to land critical strikes on you. The way you fix this is either you get the corrupted version, which is super expensive, or if you know how to Vorax craft, you can make a Vorax item, which might end up being the cheapest. But what I opted for, it's not going to be the cheapest, TLDR, but what I opted for, which I think is the cheapest, is to go for 2 fluffy balls here. 60% critical strike mitigation, 50% critical strike mitigation. There it goes. That's all you need. However, if they go up in price and they're too expensive, you can also get critical smite mitigation from your body armor and your boots. Just be aware of that. But what you want is 100% because otherwise you're going to get absolutely wrecked. The other change in this version is I got the Light Chaser, which if you're looking for damage, this is not the way to go. This is actually going to decrease your damage by around 5 to 10%, but it gives you absurd clear. Like, I mean, just, you have to feel it to understand it. But is it worth 2,000 FE? If I had to do it again, probably not. I just wanted to play around with it because it was new. I can just tell you it's not worth the price tag. Maybe that's going to change in the future. So delay this one as long as you possibly can. And then there's one more update that I haven't put in the latest doc yet, which is my Spell Aggression Ring with +1 Focus Blessings and LE Pen that I replaced Heart of Magic for. So like I said, at this point, you need to get a Slate to actually sustain your Focus Blessings right here, or you get the node in Magister right here. This one was not as good as I thought it is. It sometimes happens. It's around 15 to 20% more damage over the Heart of Magic. But for how expensive this ring was, I probably wouldn't do it again. But at this point, we are kind of in this space where every upgrade is going to be expensive. So going from here, the next upgrade I will be doing is, you can see I just put some random blend up here that gives me a little bit of extra damage, but I do plan on crafting a Juggernaut right here. So Juggernaut gives you, enemies have 0% armor, and it also gives you 20 pen. It is incredibly strong, but it does replace your talent. So what I will do is on my blend, I will get the bunch. So that costs around 3,000, 4,000 FE. And once I have that, I will put it in this tree and replace bunch with it. And then I get Juggernaut on top. Probably another 40, 50% more damage, and probably the next thing I'll do. And after that, if you're going even further, you might have noticed this is still tier 1 gear in Win Profound. There is the only ultimate mod, and I didn't need this for Profound. There's nothing else you need. These are all still rares that are open to be crafted for Ultimate. So that would be your upgrades. And I mean, if you craft Ultimate ones alone, each one is going to double your damage and so forth. So that's where we are from here. And then after that, obviously, Malign Embrace, Corruption. Yeah, and you can easily get to 15+ trillion on this character. I will, like I said, probably push this character to around 2 trillion, but then I'm going to call it quits. Quickie crafting tutorial here. If you know how to buy gear, at this point, a lot of people are respeccing out of their Leaguestarters and into their endgame setups, so they are reselling a lot of these, probably for cheaper than it takes you to craft. Do note, though, that up here, if you're doing your boss conquests and your Supreme Showdowns, you're going to get a lot of bound, currency that you cannot use other than crafting. So just because it's cheaper technically doesn't mean it's cheaper, because you can't use those in the economy. So you might as well use them for crafting early on. If you've never crafted before in this game, item level matters a lot. You might think, oh, I'm just going to buy a high item level one and then just craft tier 3 mods for now and upgrade later. No. These cost Flame Elementium on every click. These cost Flame Sand. Flame Sand is free. Flame Elementium is not. So you need to be very careful what you do. Tier 3, usually I craft them, but this build is so broken, you might not even need to. I did not need to. I got to tier 7, no problem, and then you can craft one of these. So I'm going to show you how to craft a tier 2, but this is true across the board. For body armor, boots, it's a very easy crafting system. So in this interface, make sure you're in advanced. You go to rare gear, and then you go to weapon, boom, wand, item base. Now, if you're crafting 82, it's going to be erosion. Don't worry, this will get converted forcibly. So Heart Flare wand, and then you want an item level between 82 and 85. If you're crafting a tier 1, 86 plus, but that is what you want. And then you buy one for 1 FE. If you dropped one, even better, but there's always ones for 1 FE. As always, here's the price filter. All right, so we got a wand right here, and we're just gonna start crafting. Important. Advanced affixes, you want one in the suffix and one in the prefix, otherwise you cannot fill it out with relevant mods. Just FYI, if you know what that means, you know what that means. So you start with the advanced affixes, you can get crit, 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 these are all good, and you just start crafting it. Whatever you hit first at tier 2, you're going to take. In this case, it was crit rating. Probably the worst one, but whatever. So then the second advanced affix you want in the prefix, and here's where it gets nice. It doesn't matter which of the attributes we have. You can even use any of the +1s. Actually, you cannot use physical or erosion because it does not have those tags. But you go boom, and whenever you hit first, you're going to keep. In this case, we got strength. Now, the rest you have to fill out with basic affixes. And basic affixes, once again, it does not matter which of the flat damages you're getting. Whatever you want. Tier 2, tier 2, spell damage, also very strong. All of these good, you just start crafting, and boom, immediately hit the tier 2 because you have so much space, right? So we're almost done already. And then in the suffixes, you want either cast speed or elemental damage. Nothing else does anything. You can get energy shield regain if you get it. It's not the worst, but it's not damage. And at this point, all you care about is damage. These are a little bit harder to craft. And I did just sell all my flame sand. I forgot to do this. Whatever. But yeah, you do the same thing with the LA damage, and then you have your wand. But yeah, that's about all I got. Check out the doc. I'm gonna have one more snapshot to finish somewhere around 2 trillion damage. But otherwise, I hope this video was instructive. I hope you guys have an absolute blast like I did with this Leaguestarter. And I will have another video out soon about a farming strat that I'm doing. It's always hard because it's obviously very pet dependent, but it is what it is. And talk a little bit about the league mechanic, which I like a lot so far. I've been doing nothing else this whole patch. Either way though, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and since I still don't have a slogan, see you next time.